Okay, anyway, the second I see when I see the challenge being the Nine of Pentacles and the Devil, I'm like, okay, material things are what's causing this relationship to be a bit of difficult. Now, finances could be another one of those factors too. Definitely, finances could be one of those things that definitely make people stressed out, especially when it comes to relationships. And relationships, as a kind of rule of thumb, like one of the things that really drive relationships to a difficult place is finances, intimacy issues, trust, and communication. Those four elements are the key things that really cause a relationship upset. Now, what we got going on here is there's a lot of material stuff that's coming up in this reading, and it could be the situation as to that could be the reason why things are kind of looking a little bit off. There's beautiful things coming up here. There's a beautiful relationship. Ten of Pentacles comes up here. Everything's established. You guys are pretty committed to each other, working together. I mean, I like how this person's already thinking this is you, Sag. You guys are very much similar, and it's crazy that it's right next to like attracts like, because you guys are already seeing this person as your mirror, as the person that you kind of see yourself through. Now, this other person feels like they need more information kind of going into this relationship, but I kind of just feel like, despite all that, I think you guys do have a great foundation started. The challenge is independence and gaining abundance. I feel like the abundance is here, right? I think there's a foundation already placed. I think there's maybe an independent, confident area, or maybe a period of time where there's, maybe there's some things that you need or some essentials. And I think ultimately with the Nine of Pentacles is about space, being confident in yourself individually, or being your individual self despite being in this relationship. Now, how I typically start off is with the mental play first. Typically, I would read this side as you first, Sag, and the other person here, the soulmate. But feel free to switch sides if this side here doesn't resonate. But this person here is looking at this relationship and thinks of the relationship as literally key on key, point on point. They're very similar, very much the same. And I feel like this person here, if this isn't you, Sag, you do feel like this person is your other half. This person is, mirrors you like a doggone mirror. You guys are pretty much twinsies right now. You guys have very similar beliefs, similar feelings towards things, similar feelings towards each other. You guys have a lot in common. So again, you guys could also relate to each other in a very platonic level. You guys may be connected, or maybe feel like you guys are connected to one another in a very platonic way. You guys get along in a very platonic fashion. You guys could be a team together, despite minus the romance. And sometimes this is literally just a friendship, because soulmates don't have to be relationships or romantic. It could be friends, co-workers, family members. They could be whoever, anybody that helps you get to your highest potential. Now, how the other person thinks here is the Page of Swords. Now, they may be needing a little bit more information. I do feel like this person, kind of is cultivating their own truth, their own belief system. I feel like this person may be very blunt and communicates very openly. And it's weird to have this in the mental plane, because obviously your mind can't speak. You speak for your mind. So I kind of feel like with the Page of Swords person, most importantly, this person's really trying to get more information, trying to get more, trying to understand situations a little bit more, and cultivating and creating their own sense of truth. And that brings us to the Star, which is their, how they present themselves. I think this person definitely shows that there's a new hope, a new, there's a gleaming light of hope, and they are irradiating their energy of hope and prosperity and potential for prosperity here. I think they're giving their all to this relationship. They're really putting in the effort that they need to, because they see this relationship as a spark of something beautiful, as the ideal, not the ideal relationship, perhaps. Maybe that's because of course, it takes time to build up to the ideal relationship. But I feel like that it takes one to, I think he or she, whatever, It doesn't matter the sex, but I think the real premise for this star energy is that they see the potential for greatness in this relationship. Obviously, the same as you do here, Sag, and they are just putting the best that they can with it. They're doing the best they can. They're putting the effort that they can into it. And they're really looking to, to make this relationship work in the best way that they can. You could be dealing with an Aquarius here or a Capricorn, but it truly depends on who you're watching, and it doesn't have to be any of the signs I listed. But I feel like this person definitely sees hope and, prosperity with the relationship, not just like in the sense of physicality, but building a strong foundation. And I feel like that strong foundation comes from their, obviously them focusing on themselves, because I think the biggest thing for them right now is cultivating their own truth, their own belief system, their own way of thinking, and really kind of, they're taking the baby steps right now in regards to making that mindset change, or, cultivating their own belief system. So they're trying, I feel like they see potential for this relationship. And I think that the way they're doing it is by putting all the effort into what they can, putting all their effort into this relationship as much as they can. And I feel like at the same time, they could also be, not just healing from a relationship, but also looking to expand themselves, to improve themselves by, growing themselves as well. Okay, now how you're showing up is the King of Wands, Saggies. Okay, again, this doesn't have to be you. This could be the other person. This could be like a Leo that you're dealing with here. You got two cards that can kind of indicate Leo. This is the Sun is obviously the ruler, as the ruling planet for Leo, but it doesn't have to be this is Leo energy at all. This could be that this person is showing that they're confident, they're full of energy, they're taking action. I feel like it's very similar to the Star card right now, because they're confident in who they are. They're not looking to kind of impress anyone. They're aware of their abilities, and they're just going after what they want. They're doing what they want to do based off of how they're doing it. They're doing what they want to do based off of how they feel about what they're doing, right? Based off what they feel like they're, how they feel in the moment. Now, considering that you have the Nine of Pentacles here as the challenge, I think there is a patch in this relationship where you all are hitting a period where everything's kind of boring. Like, yeah, there's a new beginning. This is starting, somebody's starting fresh. But I think there's a piece of you guys that are also in a comfort zone, and you're trying to work on breaking free from that, because not only has it brought you guys, dissatisfaction in the sense of like, oh, I'm not really getting anything out of this, or I'm kind of bored. It is bringing your independence in a sense. But I feel like, that may be like a side story for someone else, may not be exactly resonating for everybody here. But I feel like with the King of Wands, you definitely are taking your energy and putting it in, using it to its fullest potential. Using your energy to the fullest potential, and that's a big thing. And the reason why you guys have the King of Wands here, which is a good card, by the way, especially for you, being the fire sign that you are, Sagittarius, I think the reason why you're showing up as the King of Wands, confident, active, doing taking action, doing things, being very passionate, going after passionate things, being your authentic self and not really caring about how other people think about you, about all that, as well as thinking that this relationship is a perfect match in a way. It's because of the Sun. You have everything that you need. Everything's clear, nothing's crazy and out of control and confusing. I feel like, you see the situation has potential for growth, it has potential for happiness. And you feel that happiness right in this very relationship. And I feel like you even feel that reflected back to you. You feel this happiness, you feel this confidence in not just yourself, but in your partner, that there is a future for you to have and to grow together. And that is just like what's going to propel this relationship forward. And I feel like, considering looking at the other person here with the Fool card, they feel the same way. That yes, it's going to take them a leap of faith, though. I think what they're doing right now is definitely stepping outside of their comfort zone and doing something that's totally outside of their element, which is why they're having to come up with their own conclusions, come up with their own, way of thinking, develop ways of communication that are healthy for them. And also, this is a brand new beginning for them. Like, this is a lot of brand new beginnings for everybody, for this person here. And this may not be necessarily a brand new beginning for you over here, but you have, you see potential for happiness, and this person may be starting out new, has hope. I think at the same time, they may be skeptical about how things move forward. They may be very logically minded. Therefore, you guys may be both thinking very logically about things, but I feel like the parts where you guys definitely work together the most is really making things the best out of what you guys have, like making lemons out of lemonade, pretty much. And I don't see the devil as like some sort of like indication of there's some behavior patterns that needs to change, or there's any sort of addictions. I really feel like mostly what the devil card is really telling us here is that there's a bond, it's a connection between you and this individual that is, that's quite profound. That's, that you guys both feel like there's a tie between you and this individual. Like you guys feel almost married, that you guys feel connected in that sense. Some of you guys may be married, some of you guys may not. But there's a brand new beginning for this person over here, and I feel like this is this relationship, either being in the same building together, or living together, or learning how to have a healthy flow and a foundation with one another. And I think that the only challenges that I really see from this Nine of Pentacles is really remembering to be true to yourself, and to maintain independence, and make sure that you guys both are still growing and not using this relationship as some sort of crutch. But again, that's very few. I don't really see that one very profoundly, but it's really big what's going on right now, guys. Really big. Lots of changes, lots of growth, lots of great things happening. And your challenge is independently standing your ground, like standing in doing your part. I feel like that's the challenge, because I think a lot of you guys want to just be together. Some of you guys just want to stay connected with one another and do things together, and there's some things you just have to do on alone, and I think that may be the hard part. At the same time, again, material may be one of those things that keep coming up. And I feel like that's the thing with the devil coming up here. Maybe there's like feeling like you're disempowered in the sense, like you don't really know your true ability or true power for things, or in yourself. And I feel like with the devil card and the Nine of Pentacles, it's like a reminder saying like, hey, don't give your power up to physical things or to money. Remember that you are everything that you need. You have everything that you need, and don't let physical things around you make you feel like they're not legitimate, or make you feel like you're not you're disempowered at any point. Okay, so you guys have here the card from card mending, and this talks about completing a cycle. Usually this is ending a situation. This is the last card of the wisdom of the oracle as well, and I can't remember who else got this card here, but mending does show up to mean forgiveness, to mean making amends, closing a door. And I think this person, like I said before, is definitely closing a door. What brought you together was family, was values, a legacy, grounded energy, people that really supported you, and you supported them. It was a really healthy relationship, and the balance between you and this individual, or you in your own situation, and somehow that kind of energy of like attracts like brought you two together. But I feel like you guys are closing a chapter in your life and opening a new one. But and I think the only thing that's really asked right now is to understand that your individuality never goes away. Who you are as a person never goes away. That no material will define who you are and what you're worth and what your values are. And that no matter what no matter what relationship, single, I feel like you guys, you guys are always going to be who you are. You guys may have similarities, things that are very similar, but you guys are always who you are. That part of you never goes anywhere. And I feel like that's the biggest message that comes out of all of this, is to remember that no matter what cycle that you're ending right now together, one that you're beginning, you guys are still who you are, and that's perfectly fine. You guys are connected, you are a unit, but you are also individual in your uniqueness. And that is, and yes, it may be kind of blurring the lines a little bit, maybe feeling like you're not exactly who you are, which is probably why some of y'all may be standing out, maybe trying to be a little bit more extra, a little bit more, yourself, if that makes sense, being authentic, just putting yourself out there and making yourself seem different. you're never going to be the other person. The person's always going to feel be similar to you. They maybe have some similarities, but you are always who you are. You are always authentic to who you are. You may have similar values, but that doesn't mean that you're not who you are anymore. You're not a solo individual anymore. You are a person. You are an individual. You're just in a relationship working together with another person. Okay.